The Chicago Bears' vision for the roster in 2026 is starting to become a lot more clear for the Chicago Bears. And while the Chicago Bears are trying to win in 2026, it really starting to feel like they're setting themselves up for a championship window truly opening in 2027. We'll talk a little bit about that and what Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles have both done to drop the clues in regards to that. Dillon Thieneman is already talking about what his role is going to be in Dylan Allen's defensive scheme and in the secondary overall. And we're going to talk about how Sam Roush is already maybe making Cole Kmet expendable. We're talking about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. Make sure you guys also hit that subscribe button. About 45% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. We see that in the analytics, and I get it. It's because we post every day. We're in your algorithm. You may think you're subscribed because we always pop up on your feed, but make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Help the channel grow. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers by the start of the 2026 season, and we can only do that with your help. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you double check that you're subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. Help the channel grow. With that said, let's move on, right? I want to talk about the Chicago Bears team and what's coming into. And first, I think the first thing that I want to talk about here is the comments recently from Dillon Thieneman, the Chicago Bears. Caught myself in that one. The Chicago Bears first round pick. Been talking so much about Bulls draft coverage. It's just in my mind. The Chicago Bears first round pick. And Thieneman is, really, ready to play multiple roles for the Chicago Bears. But when you get into these comments specifically from Thieneman, it opens up the fact that Thieneman is not just going to be lining up as safety for the Chicago Bears. Now, this should be something that should be not surprising when you look at Thieneman's skill set, but also how Dennis Allen likes to use his defensive backs. We've talked to you guys about that. Like, every defensive play caller has their thing, right? And for Dennis Allen, his thing is the versatility. He likes versatile defensive backs that can play multiple roles, multiple positions. And Thieneman said this. I mean, just more backhanded. They want me to know both positions. So just know all of the DB positions, but as of right now, I'm playing some strong safety, but still understanding what the free safety is doing. And this should not be a surprise when you look at how we used even the Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker, as you would have versatility in how you have one inside the box, one outside the box. You can play either one of them in that position. And that's pretty much what you're keeping going up with Coby Bryant and with Dillon Thieneman. And also so much to say that he also talked about playing all the defensive back situations. That may mean that there are some lineups specifically where they may line him up as a corner in coverage at times as well. And so this shouldn't be a surprise, right? Like, that is what Dennis Allen likes to do. That is what makes Dennis Allen's system very well. And so, you're looking at Coby Bryant and Thieneman both being versatile, dynamic duos in that secondary for the Chicago Bears, and that's what Dennis Allen wants. So when we talked about getting Thieneman and the fact that he even fell to the Chicago Bears, a big part of that added to that is the versatility in the scheme. Like, Coby Bryant's also going to be somebody that's used all over the field with the number of defensive backs that we have, with Malik Muhammad also trying to find a role here, still trying to evaluate Tyreek Stevenson and Terrell Smith for what their long-term, with everybody's healthy, what's going on there. You're going to see a lot of different combinations out there for this Bears team. And don't overlook Cam Lewis as well. Cam Lewis is going to play a part in how you can free up either Thieneman or Bryant as well, depending on how much you actually trust him to play in a role for that. So, the Bears sit in a really good position where, at least in the defensive backfield, if these guys can stay healthy, and that's a big if, this is football, all that type of stuff, but if these guys can stay healthy, we can really see exactly what Dennis Allen wants to do in that secondary. We really needed to see it last year. Of course, Jaquan Brisker was healthy, Kevin Byard was mainly healthy, but every cornerback just about spent time on the injury report last year, between Terrell Smith never playing in the regular season, Jalen Johnson never being fully healthy, Kyler Gordon and Jalen only combining for 10 games, Tyreek Stevenson had to play the CB1 role, one that we clearly see he's not ready for, right? Had guys like Nashawn Wright that had to come in here and play for the Bears. So I think right now, with Thieneman and Coby Bryant replacing Jaquan, Brisker, and Kevin Byard respectively at the center, you're going to see, more versatile in how they're used right away. They are definitely coming in right away to get that done. And so the question now lies on how big of an impact? I won't say can he, because I think that you see it. Everybody knows that Thieneman can make an impact as a rookie. But I think when you're letting out coming into this, you're wondering how big of an impact that's going to be as a rookie. How much is he going to be able to grasp of Dennis Allen's in the NFL scheme and system to be able to really hit the ground running? We got really good production from our rookies, from a lot of our rookies last year. You look at Kyle Monangai, of course, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland. Those guys all made big impacts. We're looking for some of those guys in that rookie class last year, and Ruben Hippolyte, Shamar Turner, those guys to step up this year. This season, you are looking for a rookie class that can still, because you went outside the box, so you better feel an impact from some of these guys between Thieneman, Vandenberg, Keyshawn Elliott, right? Like those guys, you're looking for those guys to come in, Logan, to come in on the offensive side and make an impact. How much you can get from your rookies in year one, it really does raise the ceiling of your team so much, and it makes your roster building and all that type of stuff that much more fluid when you can trust those players right away. The Bears, how many of those guys are going to have on the roster right away? That's one of the questions, but it filters into our next topic that we're going into, and that's Sam Roush, and now how Sam Roush and the way that Sam Roush is being reported on what he's doing already and how he's impressed coaches, what that means for Cole Kmet in the future. At least in this first year, and maybe beyond this, what the Bears are going to do is have versatility, right? I want to be clear. I'm not somebody that thinks, oh, you drafted Sam Roush, it automatically means Cole Kmet's gone by this trade deadline like some Bears fans do. I think because of the situation with the slot receiver, and I do think Colston Loveland is going to line up as a slot a lot, you still now have two other tight ends that can be in there at any point in time. But Adam Johns and Adam Hogue have both talked glowingly about what they've seen from Sam Roush so far and what that means for Cole Kmet. John saying this, he looks like he belongs. He looks like an NFL caliber tight end already. Hogue went on to add this. What I wrote down in my notes is he's a clone of Cole Kmet when Cole was a rookie. Now, if the Bears truly did get that, right? And so it does look like what we're starting to see is that there's no question, at least internally, about the ceiling of what Sam Roush could be for the Chicago Bears team at the tight end, which is a position that is so much of a need for the Chicago Bears. And while we've talked about, especially under Ben Johnson's system, and while Sam Roush was called the best blocking tight end in this draft, he's not just a blocking tight end. One of the things that I disagree, y'all know me and my brother Pat, the designer, who hosts the Windy City Breeze, we host Locked On Bulls together. Me and him have a lot of conversations. We talk football, we talk Chicago sports all day, every day, right? And one of the conversations that me and him had is that, Pat feels like Sam Roush is just a blocking tight end. I look at the 545 yards that he had last year, the 2 touchdowns, the average of 11.1 yards per reception in this last year, as well as the 334 yards and 2 touchdowns the year before that, a more modest 8.4 yards. He isn't just a blocking tight end. This is a guy that can catch passes from that tight end position as well and be used in that passing game. Now, is his specialty blocking? Yes, right? You have Colston Loveland who can block as well, but he is a special route runner, right? But having the versatility of those two guys there paints a lot for the future for the Chicago Bears, right? But the question that people are asking, and I think it's a natural place to go to, not judging anybody to ask this, is what does this mean about Cole Kmet? The Bears, as we know, are shaping up for next offseason to be in a position where they can come off some contracts and free up some space for one, Caleb Williams' extension could be coming, Javon Dexter's extension could be coming. They have to get ready for Darnell Wright's extension, but then also a revamp of the defensive line that didn't come this offseason. At some point, you have to hope that you're not going to keep pushing that off, and that comes next season, right? But now, I think when you look at it, first and foremost, we know that Ben Johnson likes multiple tight end sets. That's the thing there, right? We have also seen in the league overall, not just Ben Johnson, 3 tight end sets have become more common in 2025, meaning that Sam Roush in this rookie year could see logical developmental snaps and be put in a position where he could maximize on what he does well and use that, right, while also having Cole Kmet. It's likely that Cole Kmet stays through 2026. 2027 is where, depending on the comfortability of both Sam Roush and Colston Loveland, that's where we can have. In 2027, the Bears could save roughly about $10 million in cap space, depending on if they trade or release Cole Kmet. I've been of the mindset there's no way you want to release Cole Kmet. You want to trade him. Make a team trade for you so you get something back, even if it's just draft picks, because he's too good of a player to just send him away for nothing. But as it stands right now, the drafting of Sam Roush is smart depth, but also can mean a lot for your future, right? And we'll see what happens in regards to, like, let this season, like I said, last season when people were talking about, oh, we got Luther Burden, we can immediately trade DJ Moore. It didn't happen last season. It did happen in this offseason. It's okay to operate from a place of extreme depth when there's talent in that depth, right? Sometimes you have too much depth and there's no true whatever in that depth. Like, you have your star that's building in Colston Loveland. You have still a damn good tight end in Cole Kmet. And you have now an upcoming tight end that could replace a lot of what Cole Kmet brings to you in Sam Roush, which is good redundancy to have on your roster, right? And that's a good thing to have overall with where this team is, right? I think the early impressions that we're seeing from Sam Roush just paint that, again, as I've said before, the Bears got talent in that position. It may not have been the position that you want, right? It may not be that, right, where people wanted the defensive end, but it is definitely a step in the right direction for the Chicago Bears, right? So we'll see what happens in regards to that. Do I think Cole Kmet is going to be traded this year? Very slim chance. Very slim chance of that, with the Bears actually being a team that wants to contend and compete this season, right? If we were rebuilding, maybe you would send out a veteran in Cole Kmet and just develop your rookie in Sam Roush right now. But we're not just a developmental team. We are also a team that is trying to win the NFC North. We're a team that's trying to take it a step further than what we were able to take it last year. We're trying to do all those things. And we got to see how that's going to work out, how that's going to shake out, and what's going to get done in regards to that. So overall, I'll say this. It's good to hear that Sam Roush is looking like an NFL player this early on, because that's good for the Bears. But as it stands right now, overall with those things, let's pump our brakes a little bit and see what happens with the Chicago Bears long term, and how that the story's going to tell itself. There's no need to rush and move off of players. It'll all happen. It'll all come out in the wash, as it likes to be said, and we'll just deal with it at that point in time. So let me know what you guys think in regards to that one. All right, let's move on, right? The Bears have depth at the wide receiver position. At least I feel solid depth. You have, of course, Rome Odunze. You have Luther Burden. You're going to have guys like Khalif Raymond, Jahade Walker, Xavier Thomas, all competing for snaps at that wide receiver 3. And like I said in the last segment as well, don't overlook how much Colston Loveland could also potentially be used as a slot receiver at times for the Chicago Bears. Albert Breer presented something very interesting, though, in saying that a player like Kayshon Boutte could actually be a player that's available for a 5th or 6th round pick that could provide the Chicago Bears an instant wide receiver 3 that adds to everything that they like to do playing football wise. Now, of course, when you look at it in 34 career games, Kayshon Boutte has 78 catches for 1,158 yards and 9 touchdowns over that time period, right? This is a guy that, as you just look at the numbers, he posted career highs in yards per reception and touchdowns. In regards to that, this would give the Chicago Bears a proven wide receiver 3, right? And that's what a lot of people are looking for, is the proven. Jahade Walker, a question. Xavier Thomas, a question. Of course, getting the gadget player label, a lot of people have doubts in that. Khalif Raymond, right, is a guy as well that people don't necessarily have the biggest, because he's never really been a huge number guy, but he is a veteran that understands Ben Johnson's system, and we've seen how guys like that can thrive under Ben Johnson before, right? Kayshon Boutte would provide somebody who was on a team that went to the Super Bowl last year, still only 24 years old, 5'11", 197 pounds as well, 551 yards last season, 6 touchdowns as well, an average of 16.7 yards per reception. I love the concept of having a slot receiver that can do all those things. The question that you have there, though, is, I get it, a 5th or 6th round pick. I get that, right? I get that that's there. That's not a lot of draft capital to give up for a guy that could be a perfect slot receiver for you, that also has fallen a bit out of the rotation for that New England Patriots team, as they have continued to add talent as well. And that's where this comes from, is that the Patriots may be willing to move off of him because of the other moves that they've made around and things like that. And, Albert Breer is one of those guys that when he talks, not to say that you take his words as 100% truth, but you do listen to it and say, okay, maybe could be some interest there, right? This is a guy that played at college at LSU, right? There's a guy that definitely gets downfield as well, right? He's not the quickest. Even at, usually at the 5'11" kind of receivers at his frame, you look at really good speed there. He's not the quickest wide receiver, but he does have the shiftiness to him as well, right? I do think that he can add to the floor and raise the floor of this wide receiver room. I think when you look at it, like over the past 2 years, over 550 yards in regards to both of those, right? Getting more than 68 targets a season as well. And when you look at an offense that's led by Ben Johnson and how they like to spread the ball out, get multiple receivers out there, all those type of things, it could work, right? Now, I think as well, when you're looking at this for the Chicago Bears angle and the point of view as well, like this is a guy that's still 24 years old. He's going to be looking for a contract extension probably as well, right? And with everything going on, how cheap would that extension be, right? It would push Khalif Raymond to the wide receiver 4 spot. Jahade Walker and Xavier Thomas will still be competing, all that type of stuff. And we'll see, right? Like, and I think also what that allows you to do is not necessarily force Xavier Thomas to have to play right away. But then again, if he earns it, right? I'm never against the Chicago Bears making strategic acquisitions that help push them forward. I think that's what a move like this could do for the Chicago Bears. Do I think it's likely? From what the feeling that I get from the Bears on the offensive side of the ball, they feel like they're pretty much set. Now, that could change as they get into actual training camp when they see Jahade Walker may not have taken the step that they wanted to. Maybe they aren't as confident in Xavier Thomas, even though we've heard nothing but glowing confidence out of the wide receiver coach and Ben Johnson and Press Taylor as the offensive coordinator there so far about Xavier Thomas. But if you go through training camp and you don't feel confident in it, there. I think also a trade like this for Kayshon Boutte could also be available at the trade deadline after you've had some time to actually evaluate where your team actually is. And that's where I think the Bears are going to play this, especially on any type of offensive moves. There's so much confidence in what they can do offensively. I don't think the Bears are going to make any trades for any assets unless injuries happen or unless something happens to where it shakes their confidence in the players that they have going into this season. I think the offense for the Chicago Bears is really more so about refinement. Stop the drops, stop the missed throws. An offensive line, you have now Drew Dahman. You have to overcome the missing of Drew Dahman. Isaac Trapillo is probably not going to play the majority of the season. And you have to evaluate those things. And I think as we evaluate that, that's where the rest of the picture could become clearer. But I'm not going to sit here and say that the Chicago Bears are, going to make a move on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense, if anything, the Bears feel like they're not confident in something coming out of training camp. I think there's a higher probability for that to be on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. But again, we shall see, because I'm not a prophet. I don't know everything, and we're going to see what the Bears do. But let me know what you guys think down below. Kayshon Boutte potentially coming to the Chicago Bears and being available for a 5th or 6th round pick, very low barrier of entry, very low risk for a potentially high reward player that could fit into your system and help add more weapons for your quarterback in Caleb Williams. Let me know what you guys think in regards to that one down below. With that said, last topic of the day before we get out of here that I want to talk about is how much are the Chicago Bears truly close to opening a championship contention window, right? That's a real question for this. The Bears, of course, won the NFC North last year, right? Won their first playoff game in 2 decades as well, right? Which is really good to see in regards to that one. But some of last year's formula for the Chicago Bears may not be easily repeatable, mainly on the defense, how we lived and died by takeaways. Now, I know, and people are going to say, well, Haize, they coach to that. They talk about how they coach to that, and that's great. But that's still something that you don't want to necessarily rely on. Even the Chicago Bears, Iceman and Caleb Williams, the fourth quarter comebacks that we had so frequently last year, you don't want to rely on that, right? So I say this. This is a season where I think first the Chicago Bears have to prove that they can win in more repeatable ways, more consistently, more sustainable ways that I can say, because one could say that coming back in the fourth quarter is very repeatable with Ben Johnson's offense and Caleb Williams leading that, but in a more functional way, right? I also think this is that with the Chicago Bears being a bottom 3 pass rush last year, I don't think that you can open up a championship contender win. I don't think you have to be the best. I don't even think you have to be top 10. I do think you have to be top half of the league, especially with how good the Bears offense can be, right? So I think with the pass rush still not addressed in the way that fans want it, I think that, Ryan Poles seems like he's waiting for the right move, not forcing the wrong one. And I also think that you have some core pieces in place. You have a lot of core pieces in place, especially on that offensive side of the ball, right? So I think now the Chicago Bears, what 2026 is about, with the difficulty of schedule, all this is about A, making the proper steps in the right direction to win more consistently in the ways that are easily repeatable. At that point in time, when the Bears show that, and I do think that they will this season, that's when next season it puts a lot of pressure on Ryan Poles, Ben Johnson, the coaches, all the decision makers to then make the big time, not just the splash moves, but the big moves and the right moves to get this Bears team in being a true contender. That's my feeling about it, and we'll see, right? And we'll see what's going to happen in regards to that. This season in 2020, last year was a proof that the Bears were in the right direction. This season for me is about the Bears proving again to the NFL. Last year was not a fluke. Don't sleep on us. If you sleep on us, you're going to catch it. You're going to catch the teeth of the Bears, right? I think that if we do that this season, the only next step forward that makes sense is truly being a championship contender. And that's if we already don't prove that we could be borderline there this season. That's what it becomes about, is the consistent progression of a team. And we haven't been in the spot to see this a lot for the Chicago Bears, but now it's time to see it and see it consistently for this Bears team. So let's see. 2026, we'll see if it's a Super Bowl push or a bridge year, but that Super Bowl push, I think, is really coming for this Bears team, and it's coming sooner than I think people want to realize. And that's more so by people, I mean the national media, because Bears fans, I think they're starting to really feel it. So we're going to see. But that's going to do it for today's episode, man. The Chicago Bears are in such a fascinating spot to be in 2026. We have rookies and Dillon Thieneman, who's going to step up so much and be a big part. We have questions on how Sam Roush, his development plays into the future of guys like Cole Kmet. And then also, how do the Bears actually get over that next hump that's there? 2026 is by no means a throwaway year for the Chicago Bears. This team is going to have to be ready because teams are now circling the Chicago Bears on their calendar. But I want to hear from you guys on this one. How do you feel about Dillon Thieneman and the impact that he can make day one? How do you feel about Sam Roush, Logan, all those guys, and the rookie class this year? Which rookies are you looking to make a big impact in year one as well? And should the Chicago Bears maybe go after a trade for Kayshon Boutte? Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.